think of that. Every 10 emails you send, only 3 people are even opening them. So when we're talking about just sheer volume, if we don't have a ton of leads to begin with, which most video pros don't because they don't need a ton, they can only handle so many clients a month. Just the fact of getting in front of your clients easier and where they are. It's not just text messaging. So emails, text, Instagram DMs, Facebook DMs, LinkedIn messaging coming soon. So wherever your leads are, you can talk to them and just getting in front of them. Like, I don't think there's any real special, like, oh, do this via text. It's just the fact that you are staying top of mind.
The right clients are going to hire you to do the thing. I think for a long time, I believe like, oh man, if I give this idea away, they're gonna do it on their own. They're gonna take the footage I gave them and they're gonna edit the thing when it should be me. And you know what? It's like, if I haven't provided enough education or value to say like why we should be the ones doing this for them, then that's on me. I need to figure out how to communicate better. Also understanding and realizing that, you know, to repurpose footage and to create shorts, people, they should be doing this on their own. Some people just literally don't have the time, and other people are like, shoot, I got like an intern, you know, this person could be doing that. Just be okay with that. Like, be okay with them, you know, creating stuff. And when they see that it's not coming out as great as they want, then they can come back to you.
Somebody was like, hey, I just booked a client and they told me the reason that they hired me was because of my professionalism, how they came across, how their team came across. And the video pro was like, I don't have a team. The only thing that they're talking about is that when they booked a discovery call with me, they got automatic reminders like right when they booked, and then 24 hours before the call, 10 minutes before the call. And then they got on the discovery call and they're like, wow, your team is efficient. And the video pro the whole time is thinking like, it's just me. Like that's just an automation. It's how you present yourself. A lot of video pros are one-man bands. And so if you can find tools that will increase your productivity, but then also, you know, like we talked about before, take care of a lot of those low value activities.
On episode 432 of the podcast, we are talking about how most video pros don't have a lead problem. They have a lead nurturing problem and need to hit 7-8 touch points before clients actually trust them. We also talk about how monthly newsletters are the simplest and most effective way to stay top of mind without being salesy, and then how automating low value activities like contract follow-ups and payment reminders frees up your time to focus on what truly matters, and I think helps make you the most money that you can make. All that and so much more on this episode of the Grow Your Video Business Podcast. What is up, my friend? Hey, welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Video Business Show. I'm Ryan Coral, your host, and I'm really excited about my conversation today. I chatted with Carter Hogan, who is the co-founder of VidLead, and someone who has been in this industry for a super long time. And I think you'll hear my excitement about some of the things that we've implemented. I was introduced to Carter through VidLead, and this is not, I'm trying hard to not make this episode a commercial for VidLead, but this software is changing my business. We're saving lots of money and we're more organized. We have better systems in place because of this software. And I do not believe that there's one software to rule them all, but I will say that VidLead is the closest one software to ruling them all. And just a little plug here, you can get a free 30-day trial of VidLead if you use my affiliate link at studiosherpas.com/VidLead. It's VidLead. So I'll link to that in the show notes and all that stuff. But if you're new here, welcome. I'm super excited to have you. One of the things in my own business that I wish I would have done from day one is have a better system and organization to be able to like sit down at my desk and know exactly what I needed to do and know that the things that I'm gonna need are in the right spot and that I'm getting reminders of the things, because it is chaos. If you look at my current desk, you'd see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sticky notes. And these sticky notes are literally from when I do interviews. I take notes, or if I'm leading my mastermind or doing group coaching, I'm writing down ideas and thoughts and stuff that I have. So these are not like important client things. But back in the day, this was how I managed phone calls with leads. And back then we actually had to use the phone. We couldn't do video calls or anything like that. But I would have notes here, and then I would have some there, and then I'd write stuff in my notebook, and then I'd have a spreadsheet, and then I had 18,000 different places where things lived. And the amount of stress that I carried, if you've heard my story before, the first couple of years of my business, I would have trouble going to sleep at night because I had so much on my mind, and I would think like, oh, did I send that contract off to so-and-so? Or, oh gosh, I need to send an invoice. Or did I get paid for that job? Or wait, are we supposed to shoot on Friday or is it on Saturday? Like, I would just think of all these things, and it was because I didn't have a good system. So my encouragement to you is to find a system or multiple systems that will work to help keep you organized, because there's nothing worse than trying to be creative for clients while also trying to manage all of the things that can become chaos inside of your business. So this tool, VidLead, you're gonna hear Carter and I unpack it. I'm gonna share a little bit more about how I'm using it, where it's helping me. And again, you can get free access, 30 days to this software by going to studiosherpas.com/VidLead. You can check that out. And yeah, I'm happy to answer whatever questions as you're watching this video. Leave a comment, and happy to guide you, because I really have found a lot of help here. Okay, enough of that. I said it's not gonna be a commercial, but it kind of is. But I really do think it can help you. And yeah, so that's all. Let's get into this episode with Carter. Here we go. What's up, friend? Hey, welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Video Business show. Today with me, I've got Carter Hogan, who is the co-founder and owner of VidLead. Also has a fun past of filmmaker experience, and has worked with people that probably most of us have heard of. And I've got to know you a lot more over the past year or so. You and your team get about a daily email from me like, hey, I want to try this. Does this work? As we've transitioned over to VidLead. Anyway, Carter, thank you for being here. What I didn't tell you is that this episode is really just me asking questions of like, what else can we do with VidLead? How else can we? So,
so it's a support call. I thought I was kind of your guest. Okay, yeah, I'll clock in. We'll get going.
Anyway, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here.
No, appreciate it. Super excited to be here. Like I mentioned before, I don't do a ton of these, so I'm excited to dive into the podcast world.
So for context, give us a little history on your video production background.
Okay. Well, I'll do it briefly. It could be, I don't know how long your podcast is. I'll be brief. If you want to dive into anything, we can. So yeah, my introduction into video, actually where it really starts is I was doing a service mission for my church down in South America, and I had a point and shoot camera that like everybody hadn't really seen before, and they thought it was pretty cool. And we were just kind of making little videos for people. We were actually editing those videos like in like internet Seabers, they were called, on like Windows Movie Maker 6 or something.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know if that exists anymore, but I remember like we didn't know how to use it, and we're paying by the hour to like use the computer at this little like cafe. But anyway, so that's kind of where I got started. Then it turned into like GoPro videos, maybe a little bit of wedding videos, and I just kind of fell into it a little bit backwards. I was just doing it for fun, then people start kind of paying you. So, really quickly, within a couple of years, all of a sudden I was working at a YouTube channel called Devin Supertramp. I was there for 4 or 5 years running cameras. I actually transitioned pretty quickly from like running cameras and editing to producing and kind of managing his business. Really high-end clientele. We were doing lots of big commercials, flying all around the world. There's tons of stories we could dive into there. And while I was there, I worked with Parker Walbeck, who many of you may know, started Full-Time Filmmaker. And after a couple of years, once he had started Full-Time Filmmaker, he's like, hey, come help me manage this. And it was kind of a good pivot. My kids were sick of me traveling, Every time the suitcases would come out, they were old enough, they started to realize what was happening. So I was like, hey, maybe I can stay home and do this. So I did that. And was there for 4 or 5 years. And during that time, Parker and I, along with one other person, we started building and founding what is now VidLead and VidLead Studio. And, VidLead's been going for 3 or 4 years now. And that's kind of my quick and brief overview of my filmmaking journey.
So the bulk of your time is spent what these days?
Now it's spent probably in sales of the software. And when I say sales, it's more like showing video pros what they can do. Because it's one thing like, I'm not out there to sell a software. I'm out there to show you what you should be doing in your business. And there's 1,000 tools out there to help you do that, whether you're talking about building your websites or nurturing your leads or just handling invoices and payments. Tons of tools out there. What we've done is we built a tool that it solved our needs, right? So it's like we were running video production companies, a full-time filmmaker. We were mentoring thousands of students, saw a huge need, and we're like, hey, we have a pain point. Let's try and solve our own pain point because we think it's everybody else's pain point as well. And so I just kind of help people solve their pain points. And if my software can help them out, that's great. If not, like we still kind of teach them. But I don't do a ton you never leave video production. Most of the video production I do is for myself. Like if we're doing, some ads or some content creation, you always have the family members that are coming like, hey, I've got this business, you need to come. So I still dabble in video production. You can never really leave it. But most of my time is spent now, I guess, more on the mentorship side, like showing video pros, hey, you're struggling in your business. Like here's what you probably should be doing. Here's some tools that can help you out.
Yeah. So my story, my background, 20 years running a video business, and I love technology, which is partially why doing video was so cool because, you've got the cameras that have all this tech and all these things to learn. But then there's the software side and building websites and learning Photoshop and, just doing all the things that required sales, marketing, build, scale a business, and then the actual, running of the business. And so over the time, I've had so many different softwares and tried to find what is the magic bullet. And I had seen the VidLead commercials, I don't know, years ago. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. The softwares that claim to do all of the things, I've found like they don't do them all well. Like there's, they struggle or they suffer in certain areas. They're really good at probably one thing, maybe two things, but then all the other things. What's fascinating is as we transition over, and I don't know how long we've been seriously using VidLead, but all of the softwares that we've been able to cancel along the way, we're saving a lot of money, like hundreds of dollars by not having to have all of these other softwares. But then also the time that we've gotten back by being able to streamline by not having all of these different softwares and all of the different logins and permissions for this person or that, and not permissions for, just like all of those things, I think easily get unaccounted for, the time and the onboarding and the training and the learning and all of that stuff. So it's been fun. And I don't know if you remember, but when I started using the software, I really wanted to like tackle one tool at a time. I didn't want to go all in. And I think that's where it might feel a little bit overwhelming. Like, man, it could be your website builder. You can manage your clients. You can send contracts and invoices, and you could build courses, and you can text message, just like all of these things. And to go from like 0 to 100 is like, whoa. And for me, I'm like, if I can replace this one software, it's going to pay for itself, right? And that was, for me, we were using Pipedrive for contracts, and we were using Dubsado for invoicing. And to be able to take both of those softwares, we had 2 seats on Pipedrive, and then just maybe 1 seat on Dubsado, maybe a couple. But anyway, that was over $100, and to be paying less, and then to have all these other features. Okay, my mini commercial is over. It has been very, very helpful, and I've really enjoyed it. And there are, there's a learning curve, but for me and in my business, as we've kind of gone baby steps, we're finding more and more ways to utilize the tool. What would you say, like, as you've worked, with some pretty significant brands in the video production world, what's like 1 or 2 areas that go underlooked or just not attended to as they should, as we're trying to grow and build sustainable video businesses?
Yeah. So the biggest one is lead nurturing. Like I talk to, 5 or 6 video pros a day. They're like, hey, Carter, if I could just get more leads, I would have more business. And it's like, well, that's universally true, right? The more leads are coming in the door, the more we're going to convert, even if we're converting a very small percentage. Once we actually dive into their business and look at what they're doing, it's like, okay, what's your sales process? What's your outreach like? What's your lead nurturing like? We find out they don't really have a lead problem. The beauty of video production is that unless you have a 30-man team, you really don't need that many clients. And so you don't need that many leads. And so what we find is that people, they're posting on social media, people are visiting their social media sites, people are on their website, they have leads. People are interested in what they're talking about and what they have to offer. They are not nurturing those leads near enough, not even close, to so that those leads trust them enough to pay them money. Cause like, I mean, if you're getting nitty gritty into like marketing, even if I'm selling like a $50 broomstick on Amazon, I still have to hit like at least 5 or 6 touch points to have somebody trust me enough to buy my $50 broomstick. Now we're talking about thousands of dollars in video production. If you think somebody's going to see one post of yours or land on your website once or get one email from you and then trust you enough to do that, the percentage is just so low. Like if you have a warm referral, which a lot of video pros have, like word of mouth, that's how they start, they get to a certain point, and once they can't get past that point, then they start talking to people like me or like you, and they want to market. But yeah, you have to follow up, nurturing your leads, and it's really just like a fancy way of saying, hey, you need to stay top of mind and remind your leads how you can help them for, I would say, a couple months. You want to get to those 7 to 8 touch points. And the problem is most video pros don't know they're supposed to do that. They're not doing it. Or if they do, they're doing it manually. And most of them are one-man shows. They're editing, they're filming, they're busy. They're not going to remember to follow up with their clients. And so that's where a tool like a VidLead Studio, where you can automate that follow-up and you can have that just work behind the scenes. You have more important things to do, but that needs to be done. So stuff like that we can put on the back burner and automate. But yeah, that would be the number one thing. I have a couple others, but the number one would be lead nurturing. Like they're just not doing it.
So you brought up this idea of staying top of mind, which I've always... No, I shouldn't say always. For a long time, I've understood the importance of that, even in the last 2.5 years, where I've finally decided, okay, we're going to show up on social media, like, because we're really thinking that if we are top of mind, that's going to give us a better chance of winning business. And it's true. It has worked. It's annoying to like have to be like, okay, everything is content. Like we're got to always be thinking about what's the next post and all that stuff. But it's working. And I say it's annoying, but if we're creating content that really is trying to bring value and to be helpful, that's like, okay, that's part of the mission that I want to be a part of, right? Is helping people, whether or not they hire us. When you're talking about staying top of mind and lead nurturing, what are some ways that you've seen this work that isn't like salesy, that isn't just like top of mind, like, hey, don't forget, like you probably, haven't hired a video person and we're still here. What are some ways that people should be nurturing?
Yeah, no, it's a great question because there's definitely wrong ways to do it. I mean, it's better to nurture. Yeah. It's better to nurture wrong than to not nurture at all. But like just following up, like, that's a double-edged sword. At least you're following up, but yeah, that's a bad way to do it. So the most simple thing I can say, and the amount of video pros that have told me that this alone has moved the needle, just a monthly newsletter. So once a month, you send out an email to all of your leads. It can say anything from, hey, these are the recent projects we've done, or you can get really specific with like a case study, like, hey, this is the client, this is what we're able to do, these are the amount of views or sales or conversions we were able to drive. So that one simple thing of just every month saying, hey, not like, hey, I'm here, do you need help? It's just saying, hey, look at what we're doing lately. Like, let them see the value that you can provide to them. And if we want to get like really, really good with it, know your client's pain points and then build an email around that. Like if you know your client's struggling with like, sales, that's an obvious one. Maybe it's like employee retention. So they need to have like training videos or different stuff. Whoever your client or your demographic is, know what their pain point is. And if when you're nurturing them, you're showing them how you can solve that pain point or how you're solving that pain point for other people, like that's a home run. So it's not salesy. It's just saying, hey, look at what we're doing. And then they're like, wait a second, like we need that. Or giving them ideas. Another way is like, in a newsletter, giving them ideas. Hey, you should be doing this if you have this problem. So they might take that and run with it and be like, okay, thanks for the ideas. I'm going to go do it. The majority of them don't want to do that on their own. They now view you as the authority expert. Hey, he gave me or she gave me these ideas. And then they're just going to hire you to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are some great ideas. I try to do a weekly newsletter, which some people are like, oh my gosh. But some people are going to unsubscribe. Those aren't my ideal clients.
Yeah.
Also, if I'm putting them in front of me and saying, okay, how do I add value to them? Not just bragging about here's a new cool project we did, but to your point, it's like, how did that help the client? Like, what was the pain that they were having, or the frustration, or why did they do this video? And man, if you have any results, how the video or the campaign is helping their business that you could share in that's great, because people need to be able to see themselves in these types of projects. If they can't relate, or they don't see what's in it for them, it's just like, cool, Ryan, like bragging about another cool project. How does that help my life? If it's like, oh, we did this video because this client needed more revenue, needed more leads, needed better employees, needed better, whatever. And this was a tool. This was what we all realized would be a solution, a help, toward them achieving the goal. That's what, every one of us is like, okay, what's in it for me? Like, if you're not going to talk about my pain points, you're not going to address what's going to be helpful for me, like, I'm moving on to the next thing. So yeah, I think a newsletter is a killer idea. And then knowing that the right clients are going to hire you to do the thing. I think for a long time, I believe like, oh man, if I give this idea away, they're going to do it on their own. They're going to take the footage I gave them, and they're going to edit the thing when it should be me. And you know what? It's like, if I haven't provided enough education or value to say like why we should be the ones doing this for them, then that's on me. I need to figure out how to communicate better. Also understanding and realizing that, to repurpose footage and to create shorts, people, they should be doing this on their own. Some people just literally don't have the time, and other people are like, shoot, I got like an intern, this person could be doing that. Just be okay with that. Like, be okay with them, creating stuff. And when they see that it's not coming out as great as they want, then they can come back to you. So great ideas on lead nurturing. I'm curious to know as well, because I think one of the cool features inside of VidLead is like, you can text message people. And that was very exciting to think like, oh man, because I know people are responding to text messages way more than they are to emails and, all the other things. When we talk about lead nurturing, have you seen any techniques via texting that have worked well?
I think just the fact that you're doing it. So think of it this way. Emails are great, but like across the board, this is any industry, 30% open rates. So think of that. Every 10 emails you send, only 3 people are even opening them. But you have email inbox deliverability, or they just don't check their emails. So when we're talking about just sheer volume, if we don't have a ton of leads to begin with, which most video pros don't, because they don't need a ton, they can only handle so many clients a month. Just the fact of getting in front of your clients easier and where they are. So that's cool. So, CRMs, there's a lot out there. You talk about that VidLead can do text. It's not just text messaging. So emails, text, Instagram DMs, Facebook DMs, wherever your leads are, and wherever you want to, LinkedIn messaging coming soon. So wherever your leads are, you can talk to them, and just getting in front of them. Like, I don't think there's any real special, like, oh, do this via text. It's just the fact that you are staying top of mind. So it's like, business owners in general have a ton going on. And here's this video pro trying to kind of get their attention, and you're going to forget about it. Like, I might sign up for a newsletter. Like, what was something that happened the other day that while you were talking, I thought about, it was sunglasses. I signed up for something because I thought these sunglasses looked cool, completely forgot about it. Like, sunglasses aren't crazy important to me. And then 30 days later, I get an email saying, hey, like, remember these sunglasses? And it wasn't a great email, but like, I bought them. It was like, oh yeah, like, I do want those. So it's just staying top of mind, showing that you're there. And yeah, you're going to get people that are like, hey, stop texting me. That's great. They're not somebody, you have to go through those to convert on more of them. So I don't think I have any like, hey, this is what you should be saying in your texts. You just need to get in front of your leads and get in front of them 7 to 8 times to have that trust, have that authority with them to convert them, really. And one thing I was going to mention, like on the Instagram side, it's super easy to automate lead nurturing on Instagram and just lead capture in general. You're already posting on social media as a video pro, I'd imagine. And I'm sure you've seen it where somebody's like, hey, comment this specific word down below, and then I'll send you this DM link. And they're not doing that manually. They're doing it automatically through a system like VidLead Studio. And we can do all that for you. If you're already posting on social media, those are warm potential leads that you're not capturing on. Just set up an automation like that where it's like, hey, comment the word video down below if you're interested in this. And then all of a sudden you have a lead, you're DMing back and forth. And a lot of it happens behind the scenes while you're busy doing something else.
Yeah, that's so cool. That is one of the neatest features. A good example today, I'm batch recording my show, right? So I've got 4 interviews today, and I try to do this once a month. And so I'm not having to think about this later on in the month. One of the neat features inside of VidLead is that I can do the same thing when it comes to social media. We can batch plan our posts. So we could pick a couple of days a month where we're crafting our posts, scheduling them on the calendar, doing all that stuff. I love the automation to be able to, hey, comment the word, whatever, and we'll send you the free guide. Super, super cool. I did not realize, I think I've been hoping for the LinkedIn connection for quite a bit. We can post to LinkedIn, but as far as automations, is that kind of what you're alluding to? Like they're trying to build that out where people can comment a certain word and they'll get into those automations?
Well, yeah, so that would be like step 2. So like right now we can post, like you were talking about our social planner, where you can post to Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But right now with Instagram and Facebook, when somebody sends you a DM on those platforms, you can see that inside VidLead, right?
Right.
And so that's where LinkedIn messaging is coming soon, where when somebody sends you a LinkedIn message, you're going to be able to see that and respond to it. So that's step 1. And then step 2 would be those same automations where it's like, hey, somebody DMs you a certain keyword or asks a specific question on LinkedIn, and then you just have an automatic response that goes out to them at a time, of your choosing. So yeah, that's definitely where that's headed out.
I love that I can give my team access to certain parts in the software. So if I got a team member that they're my marketing person, I don't want them inside of invoicing and contracts and, CRM and whatever. I just want them to be able to plan content and interact with people that are messaging us. So to add LinkedIn to another, we're not just posting, but we're able to engage with direct messages. Because for us, that's where we're getting most of our leads is through LinkedIn. So to be able to take that messaging feature and bring that into there makes my person who's managing, the communication, to be able to do it all in one place instead of having to log into my LinkedIn and do all of it there, to be able to just go into the software with the right permissions. That's going to be a nice addition.
Yeah, no, I mean, it kind of brings up an interesting point while you were talking. One of the cool things about kind of having an idea and building a software is you get to take everything you hate about softwares and fix it. And my big, I hate, what is up with pay per seat? I'm like, what did I got to find it? Slack. Dude. I'm not a Slack guy. I'm forced to use it when other companies want to use it. But then I was adding my employees to it, and all of a sudden I'm paying $9 a month per employee. I'm like, I have a Slack account. Why are you charging me that? MailChimp was the same way. We were using MailChimp to send emails, and it wasn't pay per seat, but every contact that I had in MailChimp, they were charging me more money for. Even if I didn't send a single email that month, I was paying out the nose just to store the contact. So stuff like that, where it's okay, unlimited users, add as many people as you want. I don't care how many contacts you have, bring those in. Emails, we actually pay for all your emails, so it's not a pay per email send. But yeah, just stuff like that, where it's man, this really annoys me about these certain softwares. To be able to fix that has been fun and really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there's a feature of hey, add another user. I have 8 people inside of the software, and they all have different jobs and responsibilities, and the price is still the same. I'm like, does anybody know this? Is this okay?
Did I go through a loophole here?
Yeah. What would you say? What's another? I don't want this to feel like a total commercial, but I can't understate that having this tool is really, really helping my business. And I have literally canceled, I think 5 or 6 softwares, and there are still a couple of other things that we're wanting to do more. And it's back to baby steps of finding the time to do this and to dig into it. But the things that help, a lot of us, when we get into video, it's just hey, we're doing the thing, we're getting paid for it, and it's working. But then the more we do it, the more we want to do it, the more we find opportunities to like, oh, okay, maybe I don't have to do all the things. I could hire somebody to do. It just becomes harder and harder. You end up having a business, and if you don't do it the right way, you're going to hate your life. There's going to be so many, you're just going to feel always connected. Like you've got to be answering every single email. You've got to be every touch point. So there are things that are designed to make our lives as business owners easier, more enjoyable, more effective. So that's I don't want to understate that there are so many different things. I mean, the whole software is designed to make our lives better and the experience for our clients better. So are there, we've got lead nurturing, super duper important. That's kind of the lifeline, of our businesses. Are there any other features that stand out that help video business owners like get back their time or, be able to make more money? Any of those two like buzz themes?
Yeah. I mean, so people ask me like, hey, what's the, in a one sentence, how is this going to help me? And it's like, well, if you haven't signed up yet, one, you're going to save money because like you're talking about, you're going to cancel at least 3 or 4 softwares. Like if you're running a pretty robust business, you probably have 2 or 3 softwares you're using that we can cancel and consolidate. So one, you're going to save money that way. And then 2, you're going to free up a lot of your time so that you can work on your business. Like too many video pros, if they are nurturing, they're doing it manually, or like menial tasks like, they send a contract. Okay. They wait for that. They're manually following up for that contract. Hey, did you, they didn't sign this. So if they manually check that, then they send a reminder. Then the contract gets signed. Okay, the contract is signed. Then they go in and they start making the invoice and they send the invoice out. And then it's the same cycle. It's like they have to manually like follow up. Like, hey, I haven't received this payment. Like stuff like that. You can completely automate that entire process. You send the contract and forget about it because 1, you know that they're getting reminders if they haven't signed it. 2, you know that as soon as they sign it, they're being sent an invoice or they're being taken to the payment page for a deposit as soon as they sign it. And if they don't pay after they sign it, then they're getting those automatic reminders. So like stuff like that, where it's just like you have more important things to do than to babysit these menial tasks. Like that's just one example of if you can automate the low value activities in your business and focus on the higher value activities, you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck. You're going to make a lot more money that way because you're focusing on where your time really should be spent. But yeah, just a couple different examples of what you can do there.
I remember one of the very first softwares. This is probably like 2005 or 2006. I started using FreshBooks, which is an accounting software, and I was able to send invoices. And what it would do, it would show me like who hadn't paid, and it would send like auto reminders to these people. So I went from like having to be the bad cop, like, hey, like haven't gotten your payment, hey, to being able to have a dashboard of like, oh, these are outstanding. This is how long they've been outstanding. And, we're sending like a weekly email. And so that went from manual to way less stress for me, feeling like I wasn't forgetting about payments. That, oh my gosh, dude, when I was doing this all by myself, when I didn't have a bookkeeper, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I forgot to follow up on, this payment. This person owes me like all this money. I would remember. That's a terrible way to run a business. If the only thing that you took away from this episode was to make sure that you have a software in place that is sending, keeping track of money that's owed to you, and also automatically sending reminders for people to pay you. That I just talked to somebody yesterday, like a total professional, and he was like, I found tens of thousands of dollars that clients owed me, and it's because he didn't have a system. I'm like, bro, how do you, like, what the heck? Like, that is not okay. So takeaway, get something in place that tracks that for you, and to not have to be tied to it. That's, man, smart move. Do that.
And I know a lot of video pros listening are like, that would never happen to me. Like, I know where my money's at. You'd be surprised. You get busy with 1 or 2 projects and kind of get slammed. All of a sudden you forget about that invoice reminder. Like, you think it's hard to get money now. Try getting money 6 months after the project's wrapped and they've already run the campaign. They already have the video. Like there's tons of tools out there. Like I'm just going to say it. Even if you're not using tools that we provide, you need to be automating a lot of your stuff. Go figure it out. Make your life a lot easier
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I would say like one tip that I have when it comes to invoicing, we used to always do 50-50. So 50% was due upon signing of the contract. And then the remainder was due when we would deliver the last video. What we've switched to, we did this during COVID because we're like, man, we could use more money now. So let's just increase our deposit. So we switched to 70-30. And I thought I was going to get pushback. Here's what's so weird. I think over the last 5 years, we've had maybe 2 clients who have said like, hey, what do you, like 70? That sounds like a lot. So we're like, oh, we can do 50. That's fine. Not a big deal. But where we were getting stuck is when we would have a client that we'd have one or more than one deliverable. So like maybe they had 2 edits, like a trailer and a longer form. We would deliver the trailer and they would be happy with it and they would like it. They would start using it. And then we're like waiting for feedback on the longer piece. And they're like, their mindset is like, well, we already got the piece. So we're going to take our time now to get feedback and there's more. And so we're waiting for literally 50% of this project fee when the editing is like we've got pre-production, we've got production. So the bulk of where our time and money is there. And but we're putting 50% on the back end. And so what we started doing is for projects that were a little bit bigger, that would have more than one deliverable, is we would say, 30% is due on delivery. But if a project, if we need to break up that delivery schedule, then it might be 15% is due when we deliver the first video, and then the remaining 15% is due when we send that last one, so that we're not stuck. There's some incentive for the client to kind of keep this thing moving. If we don't get paid that final 15%, it's like it's a lot better than not getting paid 50%. Right.
Yeah.
So our costs are definitely covered by the time we get hopefully to that last remaining 30%. So if a client just totally ghosted us for some reason, we've already made our money back. Are we super profitable on the project? No. Will we be if we collect that remaining 30% or 50%, depending on how you do this? Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, no, it's something where unfortunately it seems like the bigger the deals you start doing, now you're starting to not just work with business owners, but they have like a finance department or like, heaven forbid, like a legal department. Oh man, like back in the Devon Supertramp days, like dealing with like Warner Brothers legal. I mean, you're not talking about months before you're getting paid. So you have to demand whatever you need up front to get you like 80% of the way. Because if not, like, after the project wraps, like you're talking about 4 or 5 months before you're going to receive, because it's, again, a large sum of money. The larger the money, the longer it's going to take. And, you can't hold off your contractors. You have to pay your team. So yeah, you definitely have to put something. And that's why, like, again, a lot of video pros, like even going back to the basics, like, well, I'm not using a contract. And it's like, well, even just for payment terms, like just send them something so that they sign and are accountable and you can refer back to something. And then, definitely collect at least some money before you get started. There's some video pros that are kind of more in the idea space. Like they're where their value is their ideas. Like Austin Paul is one of them. He's like a product filmmaker. I don't know if you've seen his stuff, but he has like an incredible mind and he comes out with incredible ideas. And so he's like, if a company comes to me, I won't give them my ideas for the project until they pay a certain amount, because my ideas are like where my value is. And so, you just have to know where your value is and get money before you deliver all of it. I'm not saying don't put out some of it as like a feeler or like a lead magnet. But super important. Have contracts, have payment plans in place, and lots of tools out there for you to do that for sure.
Yeah. One other thing that helped us early on when we were working with and realizing, some of these bigger companies take longer to pay, we got a line of credit from our bank. And so what we were able to do with that is it's like a very low interest account where, let's say, I think when we first started the account, we had, I think, $30,000 in there. And so we would work with a big client, and, my contractors are waiting for payment, and I'm like, well, shoot, like we haven't gotten paid yet. So what you can do with a line of credit, you can take that, 2,000, 5,000, whatever you need, knowing that you're still expecting this money to come in. So it's going to cost you a little bit, and you only get charged. Now, I'm not a banker and I'm not a numbers person, but here's how I understand it. You're only going to get charged for what you borrow. So you have $30,000 that you can borrow against, but if you only take 2,500, that's the only amount you're going to be charged interest on. And I think it goes by days. So, if you can pay that back in a day, it's going to be like the smallest fee. If it takes a week, it's obviously going to be a little bit bigger. But that was so helpful multiple times in the business when we were waiting on clients, when we knew we had a check come. Oh yeah, check's in the mail. It's like, well, shoot, it's not going to be here the next week. I got payroll this Friday, so let me dip into the line of credit. Let me move this money over so I can pay my staff. Bam, we get the check. Let's deposit it and then move that money back and pay that line of credit back so that it's back to zero balance. We've got 30,000 total that we can borrow against now, but we paid the small fee. So I think if you're in a space in your business where having more cash on hand would be helpful, having a line of credit is much better than paying people via credit card. The interest rate, I feel like on a line of credit is like 6 to 8% typically. And you can get a line of credit through the SBA, the Small Business Association. I don't know. It's a government program. And so their whole intention, I think, is to not screw you, but we're not going to talk about politics, but they do typically have the best rates and are the most or the easiest lines of credit that you can get. So anyway, SBA.gov, I think, is the website to learn more about lines of credit.
The hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored. Any other big takeaway or thought or something for people to consider as they think of ways to really make their business, I think in my mind, more legit and less stressful. And it's amazing that software can do that. But is there any, just software related or not, any last sort of start doing this, stop doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's groundbreaking stuff. It's actually relatively simple. But even setting up, this just came to mind, maybe it's a bad answer, but somebody was like, hey, I just booked a client, and they told me the reason that they hired me was because of my their professionalism, how they came across, how their team came across. And the Video Pro was like, I don't have a team. The only thing that they're talking about is that when they booked a discovery call with me, they got automatic reminders like right when they booked, and then 24 hours before the call, 10 minutes before the call, and then they got on the discovery call, and they're like, wow, your team is efficient. They are on it, and they are very punctual, very timely. It's like, I knew when the call was, and they were so impressed by that, about how well-oiled this team was, so like a well-oiled machine. And the Video Pro the whole time is thinking like, it's just me. Like that's just an automation. That's just automatic. This lady has no idea what's going on, but she thinks I just have this team of assistants that's just like, hey, look at this. And so it's how you present yourself. A lot of Video Pros are one-man bands. And so if you can find tools that will increase your productivity, but then also, like we talked about before, take care of a lot of those low-value activities, and just kind of present this really professional front. People are going to trust. You're going to have a lot more authority with people, a lot more trust. Those marketing triggers that we want to hit, not to trick them into working with us, but just to make them feel comfortable into hiring us and giving us large sums of money. Really.
Yeah, that's really good. Sound advice. Again, this episode is not officially sponsored by VidLead. I am a member. I'm definitely going to share my affiliate link. Definitely don't have to use my affiliate link, but I think you get more like a longer free trial through my link, and Carter will send you like suckers and cookies in the mail. Just kidding. That's not true. Although maybe it is one day. I like chocolate chip cookies, by the way, Carter, just so you know.
Perfect. Noted. Yeah, no, but I definitely get more bang for your buck because Ryan pays for your first month. He actually covers that. I bill him every month for that. So yeah, 1 month free. But no, I didn't really know what we were going to talk about. And we actually kind of dove into the software quite a bit. So hopefully people thought it was useful. yeah, no, it's definitely sign up with Ryan's link if you're interested. If you want to learn more, I have links that I can send out too if they want like a little 6-minute demo. We've kind of demoed the whole thing here, but we could.
Yeah. We'll include that more information in the show notes. One thing that I will say that can be very daunting when starting a new software, especially a software that does so many different, I mean, you can build your website on this thing. Like that is like, oh, okay. Landing pages, lead magnet, like so many different things. The support, there's sort of like a, it's not, you have a team that responds quickly, efficiently. I mean, within a couple of minutes, I think in most cases where if you're trying to, if you are building your website and you're like, I can't figure out how to get the text on the thing. It's like, hey, there's chat that you can jump into. Somebody's there that can make a Loom video, kind of show you exactly what you need to do, tell you what, like that has been super helpful. If that did not exist, I would not be promoting this software because there are so many things, especially as the owner, the person who's in charge of setting up the system. That's me. I have watched some YouTube videos as I've gone down rabbit trails, but when I'm like in the thing, I'm like, okay, I need to do this or whatever. To have the kind of support that you and your team provide has been really, really helpful along the way. So just one more reason to consider the software. So
No, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, it's definitely a focus. Sometimes the worst part of software is the software of itself. So we try and, take the headache out of it. Because think of it like this: you're not signing up for one software; you're essentially signing up for like 10. And so think of, hey, is there a learning curve? Well, imagine if you went and signed up for 10 different softwares. Like, yeah, there's going to be a learning curve. We have a ton of support and ton of help because pretty much we're just trying to pick softwares you're paying for and replace them. Another example of that, I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but we're actually coming out with our frame.io replacement in like 3 or 4 days. I don't know. Have I mentioned that?
what?
Is that new? That's news to you?
No.
I might have to send you a little demo. I can even put it in your account right now if you want. But yeah, you can send out video links to your clients or like video projects and have multiple videos inside of them. They click on them. They can comment on a timestamp and you can see all that. Then they can notify you. You can even like enable like a download. So it's like you can turn that on or off. Like you mentioned, like, hey, if you want to deliver using that. Anyway,
dude,
cool stuff. Because Frame, that's probably our number one requested software features. Like, hey, I really want to replace Frame. I'm sick of paying for Frame. Yeah. And then not only do they pay for Frame, but they pay per seat, pay per like client they send it to. I don't know Frame, so I don't know how it works. But anyway, yeah, I'll send you that after it's coming out in like a week. We're there.
If you could come out with the Adobe replacement.
Oh, let me just get right on that. Yeah, Adobe Premiere. That one, QuickBooks, a whole taxing and accounting software. Let me just get right on that too.
Just get on that. Awesome. Carter, thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming on and hopefully sharing the love of what it is. I mean, it's clear that you, I have learned how valuable it is to have you in this software with your history, and so the business. But I appreciate all the support that you've given me and have gotten me excited about actually getting into these softwares and creating automations and doing things that we just haven't been able to do, or if we did do it, it was costing a lot of money, and there's an alternative out there. So appreciate the work that you guys do, and I'm excited to see all the new stuff, and just want to say thanks for having you on the show today.
No, it's been fun, been a pleasure. Anytime you want me to come on, we can come back on and swap stories. So yeah, appreciate it, and thanks for having me on.
All right, my friend, I hope this episode was helpful. If you have questions about VidLead, I'm just a phone call or maybe an email away. You can email me, ryan@studiosherpas.com. Again, if you want access, free access for 30 days to VidLead, you can go to studiosherpas.com/VidLead and use my affiliate link, and that'll get you hooked up there at least for 30 days. I will say, don't go in thinking, you're going to change every software and cancel all the things all at once. Pick one area in your business that you want to just focus in on, and maybe there's a software that you don't already have that you want to start using some of the features. Like pick that, figure it out, do it, and then move on to the next thing. There's so much you can do and build for your business that I think a lot of people probably start and then they get overwhelmed, and then they are like, okay, I'm just going to go back to doing what I was doing. I know it's easy, whatever. I don't think that that's a great excuse, but that's typically, we tend to do the thing that's easy. That's how we're all sort of wired. So anyway, I am here for your success in your video production business, and let me know how I can help you. Reach out if you need anything. That's all I got. Hoping for the best week ever for you, and just keep climbing that mountain. It's worth it. The work that you're doing is super important. It's super valuable. I believe in you, and I know that you can do it. You just got to start believing it too. Okay? All right. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.